All right, everybody, welcome in to the DNVR Rapids Postgame show, presented, of course, by the homies at Ivaka TV. You were obviously able to watch the game if you're here and you're talking about it, but if you couldn't, you need to jump in and get on this deal from Ivaka TV. You can get your Avs, your Nuggets, Rapids, all your Colorado teams with Ivaka TV. Totally new approach to TV programming delivery. Less expensive, easy to watch, offers a superior picture. Services include local networks. You get Altitude, AT&T Sportsnet, and other national channels. You won't miss any sports if you have Ivaka TV. Services available in Denver and Colorado Springs. So what are you waiting for, man? Get in there. Get to ivaka.tv/DNVR. Use promo code DNVR, and you will get $10 off your first 3 months. That's $15 a month for those first 3 months, plus the receiver. There's no contracts, no hidden fee. Go ahead, sign up, get your altitude on with Ivaka TV. All right, guys, welcome in this week. Here we are. I'm joined by, of course, super producer Yahir G. Vazquez. What's up, brother?
For no reason, just because.
Yeah, that is a sad air horn over there. We also have some special guests in on the post game. You've seen him on the podcast before. Joseph Samuelson, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How about yourself, man? I mean, other than the loss.
I've been better, but it is good to see you, and I'm happy to talk some soccer here with you. We're also joined by one of the hosts of the C38 podcast, Jared Geisler. Jared, what's up?
Oh, guys, just living it up after that lovely second half of football.
Lovely is certainly a word choice. Rapids had one of the more disjointed and chaotic efforts I've seen from them this season, losing 1-0 in San Jose. Man, guys, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess the obvious one is the penalty that wasn't late in the second half. What looked like a pretty obvious handball in the box. Joseph, I don't know what you saw there, but to me it looked like his arms were out. It did hit high enough up at the arm. I guess you could question it, but unnatural position, caught the shoulder and the top of the arm. To me, pretty clear handball, pretty clear penalty, maybe even a red card, and nothing on the field, nothing on VAR. What'd you see there? And just go ahead and wrap that up for us.
Yeah, listen, I probably would have called it a penalty. I mean, I don't have any professional refereeing training, but I see it as a penalty. But I think the bigger story with this game is that the Rapids really just didn't do anything creatively enough to justify earning a result, regardless of whether that was a penalty. I think had they gotten a penalty and leveled it and taken home a draw, I don't think that I don't think people or San Jose fans would have felt like that was a deserved result, right? I think San Jose dominated pretty much the entire second half. The moment that Colorado switched back to their back three, when Lawless and Warner came off about, I want to say 7 minutes in, and things just kind of spiraled out of control from there. San Jose had the better opportunities in the first half, but it wasn't like they didn't have amazing chances then.
Nope.
Things sort of just completely, fell apart. And
you could say that, the flow of the game was not going the Rapids' way at all.
100%.
Jared, what I really noticed, Jared, was the Rapids would make a run, get something going, turn it over, throw their hands up, and San Jose would sprint the other direction. It happened all night long. They completely controlled the pace. What was going on with that tonight?
Yeah, I think you're dead right. We went away from what we did the previous match. The center back situation at the end of the game, especially, Drew, I love you, dude, but the pace was exposed so badly.
Oh yeah.
There's some things that we really need to work out. Is Lawless's hamstring good? After 2 matches with an early accident, I don't think so. Trusty, again, we only have him for a little bit longer. He didn't look great tonight. And so center back is a question mark, and a little bit of a scary one.
Big time. Yeah. We just had some doom and gloom there. Can you give me anything positive from that game?
I'm going opposite of Jared, man. After talking so much shit about Trusty, I think he kind of proved me wrong for a little bit there. I thought he was a lot better than what he showed the last, not the last games, but the beginning of the season. I think he was like a stalwart today. Honestly, I do believe that he was a lot better in the back line than he was all year long. But for the most part, I'm pretty negative, man. If anything, I blame this loss a lot of Jonathan Lewis and Diego Rubio. If I'm being completely honest,
You're
Missing
gonna blame
Diego.
Rubio?
Missing
I'm
That's an
Diego
blaming Diego
Rubio.
Rubio. I'm blaming Diego Rubio today, and it's all
That's an
love,
interesting
man.
take.
It's a good thing I'm blaming Diego Rubio because he's been so good. He was so good last match, and he was able to take so much attention away from Sardis that helped him create more chances. That those 2 yellow cards and him getting suspended resulted in this loss. And it's
But
like
that's the thing, though. If the Rapids can't like make it without one guy who has been having a great season, but they've made it fine with when he's been bad before. I mean, he's sat out significant stretches of last year. I mean,
But
the fact
it's an
that they
interesting
can't
point
make
there,
it
but-
without him is I mean, that's a bigger problem, I think, than just
It is
like the lack of his like appearance tonight.
I
It
do
wasn't
believe
just
that.
missing Rubio, though. It wasn't just missing Rubio. We were also missing
Injuries
Price. Didn't play
mounted.
again. Obviously, Wilson still hasn't featured for a month now. And that's the spine of the team, right? Wilson's the communicator on that back line. Price is the set piece taker, the kind of calm it down and get the ball in the right place. And Rubio has really been leading the attack. And whether it's finishing or just setting up other guys, it's been evident that he is the glue up front and missing all 3. And you could tell immediately. I mean, it was chaos. It was chaos. There were so many times where you'd look up and Lewis, Barrios, and Zadres were all together on a ball on the right side of the field. And you're like, who is telling who where to go out here? It was just everyone was all over the place. There was a moment where San Jose had a break because Vazquez and Trusty were in the box essentially, and San Jose was running out the other way. I don't know.
Point, like,
I don't know if you guys go.
Yeah, without Wilson or Price, Rubio had to be there because he's healthy. Wilson and Price are not healthy. He needs to be more careful not to get that suspension. That's going to lead to the Rapids playing worse. If Wilson or Price played today, I would not be blaming Rubio. I would be like, yo, it happens. You got aggressive. I like it. But with missing those 2 guys, that really hurts an already a depleted team, especially with the new striker coming in. It just hurts so much.
Joseph, I mean, obviously it's easy to say, oh no, everyone was out, bad game. But this seemed more to me effort and formation. Was it the 4-3-3 switch that kind of had people out of place? Was it, I mean, obviously injuries play a factor, but what was going on there?
So I think the 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, like whatever you want to call it, that they lined out at the start, like it wasn't amazing. And I think the reason why it wasn't amazing is because Mark Anthony Kaye can't play that like sort of shadow striker attacking midfield role to the same level that Diego Rubio can. And so we saw this in like, I tweeted out like the statistical metrics that like Kaye put up today, where he put up the like solid defensive numbers, but just didn't do anything creatively. 2 total shots, one of which went straight to the keeper, one of which was I think missed the target. And
One.
Well,
we love
our resident Rubio lover. Yeah. And so my point is that Kaye plays that box-to-box midfield role really well, but he hasn't been doing like we didn't see that same quality when he was further up the pitch today. And so if the Rapids don't have anyone like creating anything in the center of the park, they have to rely on those wingers to generate opportunities from like runs down the touchline. And I mean, Lewis got himself into some decent positions, but didn't do.
I thought so. I thought Lewis's work rate at least was impressive.
Every
single
game.
Every
He gets
game
himself
was
in a great
He
position.
got in some really good positions. He had some chances. He created a couple. He's had no productivity. Barrios now, I heard on the broadcast, 15 games without a goal. I mean,
I thought he had one there late too.
Lewis's productivity is just nothing, and you can say it's every single game. He's fast. We see the talent. He's created some chances. No end product. And it's gone on too long. We've got to run someone else out there.
Well, and like, see,
That's
the
my
problem.
thing.
The
Go
problem
ahead,
is
go
like he was so good I mean, he wasn't amazing last season, but he was still second on the team's golden boot, right? He was finding the back of the net last year. Yeah, I know, right? But he still find 5 goals, and this goes to something that we were talking about on the pod, all 4 of us together. I want to say right before the Portland match, and that was that the goal scoring committee that was finding the back of the net like last season that gave the Rapids just goals from all over the field. That goal scoring committee is in a drought right now, right? It's only been Rubio and Kay who have found the back of the net. Like 7 of the last 8 Rapids goals have been scored by Rubio and Kay. And when Rubio's out and Kay is misfiring in the attack, the Rapids don't have any other options.
And one option that we just let walk out the door did score a winner against Miami today.
Ooh, Dre.
Not
Man.
bring that up too soon?
No, okay. So this is my thing. I'll give it up to Shinashiki, but it was Inter Miami. Inter Miami.
Yeah.
So much.
Miami's worse than San Jose.
Hey, winner's a winner, man. Winner's a winner.
The thing about San Jose is that I don't think we're giving them enough credit since Almade left. I think they've built a good squad. I think they're getting back to a place that they'll be good in maybe a year or two. But again, going back to the Rapids, I'm not a big Jonathan Lewis fan. He's a
you're a hater, not a fan.
I'm
you're
not
a hater,
man. He's a super sub.
He plays for the U.S. national team.
No. He's a super sub. I love him as a Rapid. I hate him as a starter. Put him
that's
back
the thing,
as a super sub, and he's going to be amazing. He's proven it to us before.
Yeah.
You keep putting him out there as a starter. He's not creating the chances. The worst thing that could have happened to the Rapids is him having a good game last week. Because now the Frazier's going to keep starting him. He's like, I'm going to get that same productivity over and over again when he's not. And he's going to be – there's this false sense of security with Lewis now, which is not there. You need Max. Max is going to develop. Like, he had a bad game today, but I believe a lot more in Max than I do in Lewis. Lewis has shown us who he is. And Max has hasn't shown us who he is yet. That's my thing.
Come on,
we
man.
also need Gavon. We also either need Gavon or a DP winger. There's so many things wrong with Lewis right now.
One thing I want to say.
The Yaselina is combusting all over the place here. Joseph, go ahead.
One thing I want to say is when it looks like the Rapids really only get solid production, or even looking into last season, only getting solid production out of Jonathan Lewis and Michael Barrios when they come off the bench. What does it say about Colorado that the only time like our wingers can get heavily involved in the play, like is, when they're running at tired legs? Why isn't anybody good enough to really just have a big game at the winger position from the start? No one has been there. Like Max hasn't been that guy. I don't think Mosqueda can be that guy.
No.
Jonathan Lewis and Michael Barrios are, effectively like the 2 best options Colorado has. Like Max hasn't been great in any of the, MLS games that he's played in.
Joseph, I think look, Lewis hasn't finished and he hasn't got those assists or goals, but you put yourself in the right position enough times, man. It's like they were impactful. Lewis and Barrios, I think, had 2 of the better games tonight amongst not a lot of good choices, but right. Outside of Yarbrough,
Yarbrough's the only guy like who I'm writing.
Let's give him his flowers. Let's actually give him his flowers. Jared, go ahead and give Yarby his flowers here.
Hey, I said it on the pod last week. We don't win if Yarbrough doesn't get a shutout. I checked the stats on this just a couple of minutes ago. We are 7 games. Yarbrough has to shut out for us to win. We've not. Anytime we give up a goal, we lose. We haven't won when
5
he doesn't
saves.
Shut out. It's insane.
Yeah,
the
5
saves.
Beautiful saves.
It's going to be a travesty. He's done fantastic. He's keeping us in most games, but he can't win games. Keepers can't win games on their own. We found that out when Howard had a contract that was sky high, through the roof, ridiculous. And now we're finding it out with a guy who should be the linchpin part of a team that's excelling. from the goalkeeper position, he's amazing, but we've just got to score.
I want to call out Juan's comment right here, saying that we should play Estevez at left wing and Beitashour at left back. I actually 100% agree with this, and the reason is because Beitashour's been pretty damn good this year.
He's been awesome.
I was not expecting him to have as good as performances as he's him to put in as solid of a performances as he has this season. Man has been solid at the back. Give Estevez that guy behind him to lock down the fort defensively, affording Estevez the space to just be a menace on the wings. I'm 100% in favor of that.
Absolutely. I think. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
This brings me back to my theory. Lewis and Estevez cannot be on the pitch together on the same side. I think that's a really good point. Drowned Lewis 10 out of 10 times. And
Beta and Lewis is the move, yeah.
Exactly.
If they're on the pitch at the same time, they need to be on opposite sides.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Why I don't understand why Max wasn't put on the same side as Estevez. I mean, maybe Frazier just doesn't think that he can play with his right foot on the inside, but
maybe
I don't know.
Maybe Jared, what do you have on that?
What do you lose when you play Estevez instead of Lewis? What do you lose? I mean, he should be a worse goal scorer, but Lewis isn't scoring anyways. We're still getting most of the crosses from the left side from Estevez. Yeah,
you're right.
Anyhow.
You're getting bad finishes from Lewis regardless. Might as well play Estevez. It's the exact same bad finishes with more creativity.
Right. Like a less than zero scenario. You don't. There's nothing to lose there. And I just see a lot more starts coming from Lewis. Honestly.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say Juan is drunk, and he's only saying this because he's drunk. But
he's not the only one drunk on this podcast. Yeah.
Yo, if I'm drunk, I'm litty. I've been drinking since when I've been watching the Avalanche and watching the Rapids, and I'm full send. Yahya Molina is still a thing, man. I'm still hyped for the Rapids team. They weren't healthy today. They were missing Rubio. Once they get the whole squad back, I'll be more worried if they lose this game. They were missing 3 key starters. So
the thing is, we're missing so many of those guys for what's going to be an incredibly brutal stretch. I mean, it's it's 5 games in 16 days. It's crazy. It's I mean, they play a game every 3 days for the next 2 weeks. And I mean, we get right back into the thick of it on Wednesday in Minnesota. And
I think it's fully Rapids 2 against Minnesota in the USL.
Yeah, it'll be whoever. It'll be whoever doesn't. It'll be whoever.
Any of these healthy regulars are not playing.
Yeah, it'll be whoever doesn't start on tomorrow's Rapids 2 game. I don't think too many of the you'll notice that Markanich, Anderson, and Yapi made the trip to San Jose, and we're not with the team that made the trip to Houston for the Rapids 2 game tomorrow. So it's a decent shout that all 3, I would say, get on the field on Wednesday.
Dwayne, I want to address this Dwayne question here in the bottom. So Dwayne, shout out Dwayne, newest member of the DNVR crew. So is that on Porg for not building quality depth? I think there's plenty of quality depth on this team. I think what happened, and I kind of have this theory I built up in the last watching the end of that game, and we can kind of roundtable it off of this. But when you're in Rapids and San Jose, I mean, you can say whatever we want about the perception of the teams. They're basically in the same place right now. They're reliant right now on commitment to a formation or a style to kind of increase the sum of the parts to create success. The Earthquakes were running. They were not turning towards the ref. They were not throwing up their hands in despair. Anytime they got the ball, everyone was moving forward. Everyone was moving in the same direction. There was a commitment to a style, and they dominated the game. The Rapids have that fully healthy with that 5-strong back, the wingers dominating, goal options up top. And we saw that in the first few games until injuries kind of started picking them apart. So now you're seeing this 4-3-3, which goes away from that. And does Frazier need to go, whether those 3 guys are healthy or not, whether the full rotation is ready to go, does he need to go back to that 5-2-3 empty bucket, flying up the wings, regardless of who's there, because that's what's worked and that's what's been comfortable. And maybe
has it officially worked though? We have 3 wins.
That's fair.
No wins on
that's-
the road in
I
any
think it goes
competition
more
this
to-
year.
But I think it goes more to like a comfort thing. You're right.
That's
it
what
hasn't
I think.
worked.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think it has nothing to do with the wins, but I think the players feel more comfortable in that formation than this 4-2-1-3.
Look
kind of
at where
formation they're
guys
playing
played
now.
tonight. That heat map is all over the place and in places where players should not be. I mean, Jared, am I completely off base here? It seems like you were thinking about it there. Am I thinking right way or wrong way here?
No, I'm just sitting here thinking the 5-3-2, 5-2-3, whatever you want to call it. The 4 back looked okay last week. I don't know which direction you go. Right now, the personnel issues are noted, and Juan also threw out there that it's actually 4 key starters missing. If you think Galvan
100%.
probably starts somewhere.
Oh yeah,
So
For
I
sure.
don't know what the answer is, and I'm pretty sure we're looking at the team not knowing either, because we just haven't been able to put it together for any stretch of time. We've had the Kansas City and Atlanta 2 on the hop, both to note Yarborough shutouts, and other than that, it's been pretty much disjointed performances, non-consistent. We may see the same team. We may not see the same team. We've kind of shuffled the deck, but I don't know that I've seen the best iteration, and I don't know if I could pick out what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't think that to the greater overall point of the depth. I think the depth is there. The problem is, in a capped league, you're always going to run into problems when 4 key starters go out to injury. And I mean, that's just where the Rapids are right now. And it's on Robin Fraser and the rest of the coaching staff to be able to, right the ship despite those absences. But I mean, yeah, it is notable that the Rapids depth isn't really coming in clutch like they were last season. But listen, it's hard to fault Porig given how strict MLS's roster rules are, and of course the Rapids could. Yeah, I mean, and the resources that he's working with, right? But
sure.
this is true even with teams that have some of the best rosters in the league. Look at Seattle's league performance this season, which has been poor relative to how great they've performed in the Champions League.
I mean, they just won it all the way. They just won the CCL.
Exactly.
MLS squad,
Exactly, but they did that at the consequence of having to play a lot of rotated lineups in the league, and it's why the last time I checked, they were outside the playoff line, right? Or under the playoff line.
And they lost today too, by the way.
Yeah, so they
2-0
lost to Dallas. So I mean, listen, it is notable to mention that the depth isn't coming in clutch, but I mean, there's only so much Colorado can really do, given how many core members of their of their team just can't play right now. And missing Rubio was huge tonight. It was
I will
the difference maker.
I will say this, looking at some of the other matches, we just brought up Seattle's loss, Houston lost.
That's good for the
Nashville plays tomorrow, but Portland drew, Houston lost, Minnesota lost 1-0 to Cincinnati. Not a great result for them. They have, yes, correct. Yeah, the
just letting
Avalanche
everybody
did win.
know.
But I mean, when you look at the standings now, the Rapids are kind of in the same place they were, even with a bad loss on the road. So, I mean, is there a silver lining there at all? Jared,
for
anything?
Sure. For sure, 100%. Because it sucks that they lost, true. And going back to Joseph's depth thing, the depth is going to become a big thing towards the end of the season and coming next season, because all those Rapids 2 kids have to start developing into key depth pieces coming in the future. But the Rapids losing today doesn't hurt as much because all those teams ahead of them in the standings also either drew or lost, so they're not all the way back. It's not as down bad as you think, especially if you look at the Rapids lineup, that they don't have 4 of their key starters if you count Gavon. It's gonna start hurting in a week or two if they keep losing with all these players back in the lineup.
But listen to the next league match, it's against LAFC, top team in the West, one of the best teams in MLS this year. I mean,
That being said,
like, that's a hard.
21 straight at home unbeaten, right? So you bring LA in. This is the test. This is the
So
test.
My question is, okay, so my question is,
Why did you jinx it?
so my,
I mean,
okay,
we
my
said it
question
before
is,
every game. What do you want to do?
okay,
What do you
so
want
my
me to do?
question is, do you want to have a feel, if you're the Rapids, do you rather focus your efforts on Minnesota coming this Tuesday and take LAFC either as a draw
Punt
or
the
a
Open Cup.
loss?
No,
Punt
Open
the
Cup
Open
does
Cup.
not
True.
matter
Okay.
at all.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish. There's like, I'm talking about a fan base though. Like, so if you're a Rapids fan, would you rather them focus their energy on that Tuesday game than on that Saturday game, on that Wednesday game? Sorry, and
my
then be
heart
like,
says yes, my head says no. Like, I
Dude,
would love
my
to see
heart
us
says
win
yes.
something this year, but
because at least
Listen,
like I'm like,
if
my
it was
heart
at
says
home,
yes.
if you reverse where the fixtures are being played, like if they're playing Minnesota at home and then LAFC on the road, then I would hear an argument for punting on LAFC in exchange for picking up a win in the Open Cup. But honestly, like, just with the way the table it is right now, and with the Rapids not winning or picking up any points on the road, they need home points bad. And this is to Cody's point on their playoff hopes, is that as long as the Rapids, I'm not worried as long as the Rapids keep picking up like enough points at home. Like, that's really where this team lives and dies. This team can make the playoffs if it wins the vast majority of their home matches. It's a problem if they don't pick up games on the road. But listen, they're literally tied on points for that last playoff spot right now. This next 2-week stretch is going to hurt a lot of teams because a lot of teams are playing 5 to 6 matches, in a long stretch. So I'm not worried, but also making the playoffs should just be like that's the bare minimum, given
Look,
that
Cody, right now,
7 teams get in.
The Rapids are only out on goals for tiebreaker right now. They're out of the playoffs. Even with the rough stretch, even with 3 wins on the season, it's literally only a goals for tiebreaker keeping them out of a playoff spot. Those 3 are going to come back. It's not some, Rubio will be back Saturday for the LAFC match. There's a good chance Wilson could be back. I'm not sure where Price's rehab is at. Zadres is still finding his spots. I think there were a couple moments where the hold-up play right outside the box actually looked pretty good. I'm not worried about the playoffs. I'm not. You look at those teams around them. Colorado's a better team than almost all of them, even with some poor results. It's just we haven't seen the fully formed Voltron of this team yet. It's tough to say they're out. Jared, that made you laugh. Am I crazy?
I hope that this team has that in them. But
Voltron is like a high bar.
Where we're at now is kind of immaterial. Like everything is ahead of us. If we play really well down the stretch, we're going to be fine. But how do you get to a point where you're collecting points game after game? We've got 1 out of 15 points on the road, and we talk about we need to take points at home, and yes, we do. The games at home are a must win, but we've got to find a way to find better form than 1 out of 15 on the road. I mean, that's
absolutely
unsustainable. So, as far as playoff hopes, I still, I said just, what was it, a week ago, that absolutely not, we weren't going to miss the playoffs. Today doesn't make you feel better about it, but we do have to start clicking. Zadres on 210 plus minutes with no goals scored is a bit of a concern after you bring a guy like that in, after you see Shiki on the score sheet. So we've got to start scoring. We've got to figure that out. The defense right now, I think, had been a stalwart and now is in a little bit of a conundrum as far as personnel, as far as how you send them out. The midfield is that's a whole nother story. Until Price gets healthy, I think that stays a very choppy situation. So are we going to make the playoffs? Yeah, we I don't think anyone should get down enough to say that, oh no, we're doomed for the playoffs, but we do need to start seeing some things change. And getting players healthy is super key to that. But if we're going to have players come in and take a bigger role, Brian Acosta has done so, and I think done so fairly well, but
absolutely,
it's got to happen now.
We need to see more games like that one against Portland.
Yeah,
3 of the next 4 at home. 3 of the next 4 at home. The only road game is Kansas City. which, I mean, I keep saying this, but they don't get the points. But it's like that's the road game you want right now. Is a team like Kansas City. It's a team like San Jose. Obviously LAFC is terrifying to come in.
Preferably, you would have wanted San Jose before they sacked Almeida, but
yeah,
For
you know, what can you do?
San Jose's been in an upward trajectory.
Absolutely.
After Almeida, man, like Almeida was holding them back. It really feels like that.
3 wins and 4 across all competitions.
Even if you saw that NYFC game last week, they put up a good fight.
70 minutes without conceding.
Yeah, like
They're
they put up a
auditioning
really
right
good
now.
fight.
They're auditioning. They don't know who the new gaffer is. So, I mean, you've got to be playing at the top right now for whoever comes in to feel confident. It's a tough team to play, right? They were definitely running. We were gassed. So,
how does a team gas the Rapids? Like, how do you play at altitude and then get gassed when you go to San Jose?
Thing. Okay, so
start
there's my thing. No, like this is my thing. They should have started Vazquez to mark Cade Kawa. They should have to mark Cade because he's more athletic, and they should have started Vazquez to mark Cade.
Would you have started like a back 3 to do that?
I would have.
Yeah,
I would have started the 3. Vazquez, man,
I would have 100.
The more I watch of him, the more I like what I see. I think he's a perfect fit back there.
Should we talk about?
I don't know who you move to the middle. Probably Lawless and
Vazquez in the middle.
But that's the question, though. It's interesting that you bring up.
Trusty. I would have done Trusty. I think Trusty's really good at moving up. I think he hasn't been as crisp as he should be, but I thought he was better today. So I would have done a back 5, and I would have had Vazquez mark future Mexican team national team Mexican player Cade.
Joseph, you said you had a question there.
Well, yeah, the question is, like you mentioned, Abubakar. Now he's been subbed out of 2 consecutive games. After the last, I didn't see what he was, if he was holding anything after he was subbed out of this one, but after the last one, he was grabbing his hamstring. He had ice on his thigh on the sidelines after the last one.
Like even a mild
the injuries are piling up, man. Like
even a mild hamstring doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. And
we saw that with Vazquez, right?
He's obviously capable of playing through it. I don't think his game didn't seem all that affected. I thought Lawless was fine in his role tonight, but clearly came off on a minutes. I think it was more of a minutes than a performance thing to me tonight. You just got
to manage it. You don't think it was?
I think you choose the healthiest hamstring of the hamstring injuries, and you say, "Sorry, bud, you're up."
That's the question, though. When does it come to like the point, or does it come to the point where like Michael Edwards finally gets a call into the first team?
I think Sebastian Anderson gets one before anything, but I think it's also a lot of karma from last year.
It's dark.
It's a shit ton of karma from last year where the Rapids didn't face any major injuries, and Lady Karma's like, you know what, Pids? You're gonna get fucked this year because you didn't get any injuries last year, so we're gonna fuck you all year long.
I think we talked about this on the last
DNVR After Dark in here.
On the last pod we were on, I think we talked about this. How they just got really lucky last year with. I mean, it was really only Rubio and Namley that were out for extended stretches, and they managed to keep scoring goals and managed to keep getting results, and that hasn't been. I mean, Lady Health hasn't been kind to the Rapids this season so far.
You're right there. All right, guys, real quick. Let's looking forward to Wednesday night in Minnesota, Open Cup. I know we kind of said punt on the game. I want each one of you guys, we'll go around, we'll do a little round table real quick, and everybody get in 30 seconds to a minute on what's one thing you want to see out of this game. Is it a player? Throwing scoreline out because obviously you want to see a win. But what is one thing you're looking for to kind of sort of maybe offer a glimmer of hope for the next month, 2 months season? Joseph, I'll start with you.
I don't know if I can provide a glimmer of hope because I'm largely pessimistic about how this Open Cup tie is going to go down.
All right.
And that's mainly due to the fact that when the Rapids played Minnesota, right? They lost to Minnesota, and then the next day they lost 3-1 to Minnesota, and then the next day Rapids 2 lost to Minnesota 2, 4-1, with Yahir Torre getting a second yellow card after a 20-minute sub appearance.
Jeez.
Listen, like had the B squad looked a bit better against Minnesota 2, I would be, I'd be here giving a little bit of an optimistic take, but as it stands, I can't see them going into Minnesota and picking up a win because I'm under the impression that both teams are going to start their B teams, and we already saw how that went out, how that worked out.
Well, that was depressing. Jared, give me something, bud.
Well, one thing I think you cannot see is Zadres play this game anyways. I think he's cup tied.
100, he is.
So he's out. So I mean, we're going to send a B team. What do I want to see? Don Tumatore on the score sheet. I would love to see that.
Guy.
Just to give us kind of hope for like somebody beyond. And if Zadres continues to struggle, maybe a guy that might see a little bit of time at the end of the year. Probably not, but a guy that I would just like to see on the score sheet and get off the schneid there and give us something to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give me something.
Even if it's a loss on the score sheet, I'd be really hyped to see Mayaka with an assist and Yappy with a goal. Those are my two things. As long as I see them two on the sheet for something positive, I think that's a great positive for the Rapids going forward. Mm-hmm. I think that would really help out morale, and I think that would help out the Rapids too. And that to me is a big three all the way around.
To me, it starts and ends with a Yappy performance. Can he show some minutes? Can he fill in that void of goals up top? If it's not coming from Lewis, if it's not coming from Barrios, it needs to come from somewhere. Yappy's only played, 20 minutes or something this year? Not even 10 minutes, something like that.
About there, yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So if he can show he's not even 18 years old yet. He can't even vote.
Buy a cigarette.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he can't buy cigarettes. He can't do it. Yeah, it's like so. Like,
he does have a few goals with Rapids too. So
yeah, I mean he's had a nice couple showings so far. I just the Open Cup I feel like is a step up from that second from Rapids 2 competition, even if that's just in name, but it does feel more weight to it. So hopefully Yabby can get something there. And then, this week, hopefully we're talking about a cup win into a big home match against LAFC. Do we have anything lined up yet to preview for the week?
Not yet, man. We work around all their other beat schedule for now because there's playoffs and other things going on.
Playoffs, baby.
So there's a lot of things working around right now. Hopefully we have a good show for you guys. Hopefully if Wednesday comes around and we have some sweet shit to drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely. Jared, go ahead and plug your stuff for us.
Oh, yeah, just Jared_Geisler on Twitter and also the Centennial 38 podcast. Come and listen to us. It'll be a spicy one this week. It'll drop around Thursday.
Dude, Waters
is
going to be on
by the way.
He's going to be on one, bro. Joseph, go ahead and plug your stuff.
I'm at JSPSAM on Twitter. I post sort of long form analysis on Rapids games and previews and stuff on my personal website. Link is in my bio on Twitter. That's about it. Hopefully we see something better from these next 4 matches. Didn't get off the 5-game stretch to a solid start, but listen, the tools are there. The tools are there for this team to do well. And despite the injuries, I think that there's still I'm not hitting panic button yet. I am up to, I think I was at, when we did DEF CON rankings last time I was on. I'm up to, I think I was thinking orange. Oh yeah. So we're not
it's getting into orange. It's getting into orange around here.
Yeah, right. We're entering we're right in the middle, I think now. And
oh god. Wait, I think that's still glasses off Fraser, but he's getting real serious. He's getting real serious.
Tell me where it hurts, Joseph. Just tell me where it hurts.
Yeah. We're
all right, guys. Shout out to Joseph and Jared for joining us. Shout out to super producer Yahya. Oh.
Real quick. I just want to shout out Jared and Joseph, man.
Yeah.
So good.
That's what I was doing.
They're great. No, I Mitch shouted them out, but I never get to shout them out, man. I've been following them before the DNVR Rapids has even started. I love them. Yeah, for sure. They're definitely the homies, man.
Dude, they're the homies. They're two of the best out there, man. Definitely consume their coverage on top of ours, man. We're definitely grateful to have you guys.
If you can follow them, please do, man.
Listen, it's
really,
always
really good.
It's always a blast to come on to the show. I really appreciate it.
Dude, absolutely. You guys will definitely be on. It's a busy couple of weeks. We're gonna have lots of shows coming up for you. Hopefully hopefully 3 a week for the next couple of weeks at least. Go ahead and like, subscribe, DNVR Sports on YouTube, the DNVR. Get your membership. Get in the locker. Go ahead and buy some shirts. Put me to work. It's merchable. It says so right there on the screen. Follow Yahya. Follow me. Make sure, shout out, get your Evoca TV subscription, and most of all, baby, up the pids.